Hey, what is going on, everyone? It is time to do the positive side of America's finest city, San Diego, California. San Diego is a coastal city and it's the southernmost major city in California. It's right there on the Mexico border. In case you didn't see my other San Diego video, it is a very popular city for people who have money, love beaches, palm trees, and 70-degree weather most of the year. There are many reasons San Diego is known as America's finest city. I'm going to list some of them for you in my top 10 reasons to move to San Diego. Number 10, Tijuana. This one I know from experience. Tijuana is fun. I've been to Tijuana too many times to count. And before you say it, I know Tijuana, and most of Mexico, is really nasty and sometimes a dangerous place. Stop typing, I get it. But you can't beat the authentic Mexican food and the bars in Tijuana. Always a good time. Sometimes too much of a good time. But those are stories for another video entirely. If you want to cross the border for the day, there's a shuttle that'll take you to Tijuana. Be safe, stay out of sketchy areas, and no, the donkey show is just a legend. Don't ask people where it is. Number 9, the Padres. Let's be honest, the Padres aren't the best team in Major League Baseball, but I've been to 11 different Major League Baseball parks, and by far, my favorite is Petco Park in San Diego. Padre games are just a great place to be. You could take a seat at Petco Park, enjoy a warm summer evening on a budget. Baseball tickets are relatively cheap. Sure, they stick it to you if you decide to get hungry or thirsty, but compared to NFL games, they're dirt cheap, and it's a good time. Number 8, ultra casual. You will, of course, see other residents in their suits and other working clothes, but for the most part, this city is very laid back when it comes to their clothing, very casual. Most residents run errands in their gym clothes, flip-flops, things like that. No turtlenecks, no puffy jackets, ever. If you see someone with a scarf, they're probably from out of town and have no idea what they're doing there. Number 7, crime. San Diego is a pretty large city with about 1.4 million residents. Often large cities have a larger crime rate just because the large number of human beings. Human beings do stupid things. However, that's a little different in San Diego. The overall crime rate is 15% lower than the national average, and the city is safer than about 35% of the other cities in the US. Now, if you watch the news the last couple of years, you'd think that this city, being so close to the border, would be like a Mad Max movie. It's not a thing. Now, I'm sure one of you wants to give some random one-off stat about San Diego crime, or a story that hit the news recently. Stop typing. I'm talking about averages here. Always get that whenever we talk crime. Number 6, SeaWorld and the Zoo. You won't have to travel far to see some amazing wildlife in San Diego. Sure, that wildlife's in captivity, but it's still wildlife. Once you get past whatever moral issues you have with animals in cages and tanks, you can look at these things for what they are, a good family outing. SeaWorld and the San Diego Zoo are amazing. Both are two of the best in the country. Now, I've been to 2 SeaWorlds. My opinion, San Diego's way better, and I've been to 7 zoos in my life. I've heard SeaWorld in Orlando is better than all of them, but I've never been there, so of the 2 I've been to, San Diego's way better. SeaWorld, they do sell fish at the snack bar and food court, and I think that's kind of weird, but still. Number 5, whale watching and sea creatures. If SeaWorld isn't your thing, you can always go on a whale watching cruise to get an up-close personal look at sea life. Be forewarned, sometimes it's hit or miss. Whales in the wild don't always put on a show. I went once and saw a couple whales in the distance. That was it. Another trip when I was younger, a whale spent like 30 minutes rubbing its back up and down the side of the boat. That was kind of cool. It was a smaller whale, but it was really neat. Actually, that same trip, a good-sized shark cruised by the boat. We got a good eyeful of that one. Freaked everyone out. That was a fun trip. I was probably like 14 or 15. It was really cool. If you're lucky, you might get to see some blue whales as they migrate from Alaska to Mexico in the summer. That's always a good trip. Of course, the ocean is rough during the winter. Sometimes it's rough during the summer. But if you're there during the summer, check this one out. It's well worth it. And if you move there sometime, just go one summer. Number 4, beer. San Diego's the third best city for beer enthusiasts in the country, right after Portland and San Francisco. Almost every bar has a selection of some of the favorite local brews, and the city even has a festival of beers and an international beer festival every single year. This is always a big draw for the 25 and up beer drinking crowd. When you're an under 25 beer drinker, you're gonna drink whatever someone puts in front of you, and normally that's the cheapest beer you can get. As you get older, you probably have a little more cash and taste, and you want better beer. And please, stop typing. We're all happy to know you're 21 years old, you have a bunch of money, and you enjoy the finer things in life like craft beer. Good for you, big shot. We're very proud of you. I get something like that on every single video when I make a statement like this. Now let's get back to the list. San Diego is a great place for beer enthusiasts. That's all you gotta know. Go there, you'll find out. Number 3, beaches. If you already don't know or haven't picked up on this one, San Diego has some of the best beaches in the country. Mission Bay Beach, Pacific Beach, Ocean Beach, Wind and Sea Beach, La Jolla Shores, and if you have kids, they have this tiny little sort of enclosed beach called Children's Pool La Jolla, and it's really neat. It's kind of shielded from the, you gotta see it. Anyway, also they have La Jolla Cove, or the Cove as most people refer to it. This is a wildlife preserve where you'll have the opportunity to check out tide pools, the seals, take a kayak tour of the sea caves. It is really neat. If you do move to San Diego, La Jolla is just north of the city. It's a really neat place. It's kind of the ritzy part of San Diego. Well, it absolutely is. Anyway, all those beaches are pretty cool. Check them out. They have some of the best beaches in the country. Number 2, the military. San Diego's filled with military, both Navy and up the road you have the Marines. Now, there's some negatives to this side of things, like I stated in the last San Diego video, but the positives outweigh the negatives in this category. The various installations help the economy of America's finest city in more ways than just jobs. The military personnel and their families don't just stay on a post like they're prisoners or something like that. They go out into the cities. Sometimes they actually live in the cities, pay rent, things like that, buy homes. And then they just buy things in general. The bases buy supplies from vendors, and the Navy ships and aircraft are always great sightseeing opportunities for tourists. In general, anytime there's a military in town, any town, it helps the local economy. A lot of the locals don't like it, and there's complaints, and I get it. But, you know, it just helps the economy. It helps more people than the few that get irritated by the military being in town. And most of the time, they're pretty decent people. And number 1, weather. Time and time again, San Diego is voted the best weather in the United States. It's like in the perfect spot. Not too hot, not too humid, and it rarely gets cold. I talked about the sun being a bad thing in the last video, and yes, it can be bad if you get too much of it and you don't protect yourself when you are in the sun. The good news is you'll never have to worry about shoveling snow from your driveway or sidewalk. As a matter of fact, if you're living in San Diego and you do wake up to snow in your driveway, don't bother shoveling it. This is a sign that something has gone terribly wrong with the world, and you probably have bigger things to worry about, like locusts and famine and things of that nature. San Diego has perfect weather, and that's why it's number 1 on this list. You can't beat it. Alright, so that's my top 10 reasons to move to San Diego. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Don't forget all the links below. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, leave me a comment, tell me what you thought about the video. Everybody have a great day. Be nice to each other.